as important as technology is to the development of Industriville, we also need to ensure that we have some magical development, not only for what the magic can do in and of itself, but also for the advantages magic can give us in our technological development. Of course, if we are to have magic in Industriville, we have to have a place for magical research. Now, there is a fairly obvious place for the magical research. There's just one little problem with it. Namely, the schoolhouse, as previously built, is in the way. So, it's a relatively straightforward matter of moving the schoolhouse over about 8 meters. Unfortunately, due to the limitations of Industriville technology, we have to do that by dismantling the old schoolhouse and rebuilding it. Of course, I opted to start with the floor of the schoolhouse, just because that allowed me to ensure that the desks got positioned properly, and so that I didn't have to worry so much when I was dismantling the walls. Part of the process of building this magical research area is also upgrading the roads in this part of Industriville, that is to say in Upper Industriville, to brownstone roads as opposed to the previously used cobblestone. Although I will continue to use cobblestone to connect to building entrances, as is the case here. Now, the back wall has been dismantled and rebuilt. And yes, a furious zombie did make an attempt to interfere with the construction process. Mercifully, he did not succeed. Now with the back wall up, it's time to start not only on the west side wall, but also on the roof, at least on the south side roof. And I'm also going to do something that I did not do with the original schoolhouse, and that is to install some windows. Allow a little bit of natural light. Yes, the artificial light is all nice and well, but natural light has its advantages as well. So now that the interior is sorted out, as is the south sector of the roof, or at least most of the south sector of the roof, it's time to rebuild the clock tower. And since I am rebuilding the schoolhouse, I felt it was also appropriate to make a little bit of a modification to the looks of the clock tower in the hopes of making it look a little bit better from a distance. But at this point, the south wall, or not the south wall, the south roof is finished. And you can see the clock tower, or the old clock tower rather, is being dismantled. The roof is down. The walls are starting to come down. And with the walls of the clock tower down, I can finish first off the side walls, going ahead and fixing the roof on the east side of the schoolhouse, as well as the ceiling of the schoolhouse. And with the ceiling and the base of the new clock tower, I finish disassembling the old schoolhouse, and now the walls are being finished up. And with that, it's time to start on the clock tower itself. The big improvement to the clock tower is that rather than having the granite even with the columns, it's actually recessed one block in to the clock tower. The clock face will be even with the columns, but of course, the other improvement is that I'm making it significantly taller, though that did mean that I needed more materials for the clock tower. And now, of course, the clock tower needs to have a top on it. And now that I've built up the clock tower as high as I want to, it's time to build the clock faces themselves. They will show the same time as the faces on the old clock tower, but again, they stick out from the wall as opposed to being recessed into the wall. I personally think this looks a lot better. That said, once the clocks were sorted out, it was time to build up the roof. And with the roof done, the clock tower and new schoolhouse are complete. And now with the clock tower and schoolhouse moved over, I can actually start on building the actual research center itself. And I'm starting with the Botanical Research Center here. And the research center is actually going to be part indoors and part outdoors. The outdoor part will extend from the road between the octagonal building and the schoolhouse back almost to the Erie biome, but not quite. The Erie biome is reserved for thaumaturgical use, given that it actually has a thaumaturgical effect. At any rate, the octagonal building is finished, the walls are up, and now I just needed to grab a couple of doors and the materials I'm going to use for the roof. And as for the roof, I'm opting for a one-block overhang on the one hand, and effectively an arched roof. You see we're building up this central section here, and then one more bit of build-up, some torches for lighting the interior of the Botanical Research Center, and there's the roof. And now for the other aspect of the Magical Research Center that I'll be building for the time being, the Thaumaturgical Research Center. And I am building an octagon very similar to what I did for the Botanical Research Center, but there will be one difference that will become clear once the octagon is sorted out. And that is that rather than just having the octagon, I'm actually going to extend the building out and set up a sort of rectangular entry room, if you will, an antechamber for the Thaumaturgical Research Center. Now, of course, I have to build out to the main road to ensure that I have a proper connection. And yes, this does slightly overhang the cliff overlooking the current royal palace. But a little bit of foundation work will sort that out quite nicely. Now, the connector between the antechamber and the research center proper, I had a couple of thoughts as to what I might do with that, but in the end, I did manage to come up with something that I liked. Now, the research center proper is going to get the same arched roof as the Botanical Research Center. while the antechamber will get a classic sloped roof, along with a little bit of interior decoration. Now that we have a thaumaturgical research center, it's time to do some thaumaturgical research. And we're going to start with these nuggets and make 2 of these iron caps, surround a stick, and we'll get a very basic iron-capped wooden wand. Alright, now that we've got the wand, we need to get some paper and some leather, to get some books, and then we need to surround the books with wood to get a bookshelf. And now if I place the bookshelf down here, I should be able to right-click it with the wand, and I get one book called the Thaumanomicon. There are a lot of facets to thaumaturgy, and this Thaumanomicon is a great way to get that. Now, there's a couple other things I need. I need to craft 3 of these tables. I need glass, gold, and shards. Gives me a thermometer. And then I just need to make these scribing tools, which require... Alright, let's go with the glass bottle. Do I have glass bottles? I may not have any to spare. Well, even if I don't, I should have the glass. There we go. So now I need 3 feathers and 3 ink sacs. And there we go. 3 sets of scribing tools. And now, as it says, I also need some paper. So let's grab some of this sugarcane out of here and turn a whole bunch of it into paper. 63 ought to work. And now that I've got the basic items for a beginning thaumaturge, let's go to the Thaumaturgical Research Center. And yes, I have upgraded the roads a fair bit, so that from basically just in front of the inn to the base of the staircase here, I've also opted to straighten this out as opposed to maintaining that little zigzag there. I just felt it was a cleaner look for a road. But at any rate, now that we've got everything at our Thaumaturgical Research Center, let's begin with one table. And if I tap it with a wand, it becomes an arcane work table. But let me take the wand out for the moment. And now I'm going to take this table, and I'm going to hit it with some scribing tools, and that's going to turn it into a research table. Alright. So, how exactly does this work? Well, let's go here, and let's see if we can find something good to research. How about... let's go with research expertise. As you can see, clicking on that gives me this research expertise research note, which I can then put up here. And then you can see we've got this little puzzle here. We've got this symbol here, which is for the aspect ordo. But these 2 question marks represent aspects that aren't yet known to me. Now, how do I get these other aspects? Well, that involves this thermometer. And if I inspect these things closely with the thermometer, I just might be able to see, what it's got. But I can't get everything. The grass, for example, requires me to first understand life. There's this whole complicated situation here. I wonder if I can get the torch. Ah, there we go. Lux. How about the water? There we go. Some more aqua research points. What they're worth. Does concrete give me anything? Oh. There we have it. It's going to be some time before I can actually get all of the aspects I need to do proper thaumaturgical research. But while it is important to get the aspects for the time being, while I do have a very basic start, I would not be remiss in turning away from thaumaturgy for the time being.